Welcome to the introduction video for the AudioShare Programmer. The purpose of this video is to give you a brief overview of how to use the AudioShare Programmer to program or to update software in your AudioShare devices, as well as to configure those devices en masse. You can also use the AudioShare Programmer for simple troubleshooting. The first thing we'll look at is the AudioShare pull-down menu. And here's the menu. You'll see three different modes that the AudioShare Programmer will run in: Listen, Program, and Configure. The Listen mode is used very similar to an Ethernet packet sniffer. It will monitor the communication between AudioShare devices and list the packets in the AudioShare Programmer. You can then save those packets and send them to AudioShare support to assist in troubleshooting problems. The next mode is the Program mode. This is used to be able to program the AudioShare devices with software updates that you will receive from AudioShare. The last mode is the Configure. And configuring is done on multiple devices at the same time. It also is used to update the address book in the AudioShare system. The next pull-down menu we'll cover is the System Connection menu. This is how the AudioShare Programmer will connect to the AudioShare system to be able to perform either a listen, a program, or a configure. The AudioShare Programmer can connect to the AudioShare system using either a serial connection or an Ethernet connection. We will first look at the serial connection. In the System Connection pull-down menu, you will see an option called Use COM port. This is what's used to be able to turn on serial connection. If I click that, you'll notice now a checkbox is next to Use COM port. That will indicate to you that the AudioShare Programmer is going to use a serial port. Now, you can configure which serial port it will use by going down to the Configure COM port option, and it will bring up this Set COM port pull-up or menu or dialog. In here are all of the COM ports that are available on your computer to be able to use as a serial connection. Now, it's important to note that on older computers, the manufacturers were shipping COM ports. In newer computers, they no longer will ship a serial port or a COM port on them. So you'll typically need to buy either a USB to serial connection or find an older computer if you want to use a serial connection to AudioShare. Just keep in mind that only the AudioShare hub has a serial port connection on it. So if you want to be able to use serial connectivity, you'll need to make sure you're connecting to a system that has an AudioShare hub. If you're using a power injector module with Ethernet capability, then obviously you will not be able to use serial connection. So make sure that the appropriate COM port is selected here so that the AudioShare Programmer is going to use the right serial port on your computer to communicate. The other connection method is Ethernet. Again, all you need to do is select the Use Ethernet option, and that will tell the AudioShare Programmer to use Ethernet. You can configure the Ethernet by going into the System Connection menu and selecting the Configure Ethernet option. You will see a dialog box which will list which will allow you to input the IP address or the DNS name of the AudioShare hub or power injector module with Ethernet capability, also known as an EPIM. You can put the IP address or DNS names in there. Now, it's important to note at this time that AudioShare hubs and EPIMs ship with DHCP on. This way you can connect it to a network and with that is supporting DHCP and be able to have it automatically assign an IP address for you. In which case, if you don't know what the IP address is because you're using DHCP, you can select the Discover button to the bottom right corner, and it will bring up a dialog box which will allow you to discover the AudioShare devices. I will push the Discover button here and bring up a list of the different AudioShare hubs that I have on this demo system. You'll notice that two of them were discovered. One of them, which is called an AS hub, and that's the one I actually want to change some settings on. I can do this by selecting the device, and you'll notice that it will actually put the device name, and it will show me if it's DHCP or static using these radio buttons. It will also list the information that it is currently set to. If I want to set this particular hub, or I could use an EPIM, if I want to set its IP address to a static IP address, all I need to do is select the radio button and then force the IP address that I want it to use. In this case, I'm going to change the IP address to 192.168.2.11, and I'm going to keep the subnet mask and the default gateway the same. And then all I need to do is push the commit changes button. And what this will do is it will send those changes to that specific AudioShare device, so that it will be using that static setting from this point on. These changes will typically take about 15 to 20 seconds. When it is complete, the AudioShare programmer will rescan the network, and it will discover the devices again. You'll notice that now it is set to a static IP address of 2.11 as I've set it. You can also change the device names the same way by just changing the name to whatever you would like and setting commit changes. Just keep in mind that you can only use up to 16 characters in the device name. Now, if you've found the device that you want to be able to use to connect to the AudioShare system, again, just select the device and push the Use Device button, and that will automatically put the IP address and port in the Configure Ethernet Settings dialog. Once that's done, you can push OK, and again, the AudioShare programmer will save those settings so that the next time you run the AudioShare programmer, you don't have to keep setting those settings to connect to the same system. However, if you are connecting to different systems for different customers, then you'll obviously need to change those accordingly for each of the systems. Okay, now let's take a really quick look at some of the modes that the AudioShare programmer will run in. So the first mode we had mentioned under the AudioShare pull-down menu is the Listen mode. I can press the Listen mode, and you'll notice in the bottom status bar of the AudioShare program it will tell you what it's doing. So in this case, it's listening to the AudioShare control bus, and it has already found two packets that it has stored in there. With the AudioShare programmer, or not the AudioShare programmer, the AudioShare hub and the AudioShare EPIM will save all the data communication into a buffer. That way you can come back and connect to the system and download all the communication information that has happened in there. So that's why these two packets came up on mine. That was traffic that had occurred on the system since I've connected it. But just to give you a brief overview of what's happening here, this is very similar to an Ethernet packet sniffing program. It'll give you a packet number. It'll also give you a time when that packet occurred. Now this time is with respect to real-time listening. So this is going to be the time when the AudioShare programmer received that packet, not when it actually occurred in the system.